Joining us tonight, the A-Team Chairman of the American Conservative Union, former White House political director under President George W. Bush, Matt Schlapp, Associate Editor for The Hill, A.B. Stoddard, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, New York Post, Fox News contributor Michael Goodwin. A.B., let's start with you. Voter fraud, the president joking about it. Turns out, according to this latest report, it's not a joke in this country.
Well, I think, a huge debate over whether or not people should show some form of ID when they vote, like they do in other situations. You have to give up information to get prescription drugs.
Right.
Gun control advocates want you to undergo a background check before you purchase a firearm. Until we have something like that, there's obviously going to be ways to abuse the system.
Yeah, and apparently it's being abused quite frequently in Maryland and in North Carolina and around the country.
Right. Well, and look, let's face it, it's one party that doesn't want any restrictions. There's one party, the Democratic Party, that wants everybody to be able to walk in and just vote maybe more than once. And the use of the race card in conjunction with this is despicable.
Matt, let me turn to the subject a bit. Ferguson, Attorney General Holder, coming out with a statement saying that he says it's pretty clear the need for wholesale change in the Ferguson Police Department means we've got to get something done. He's inserted himself, and declared the conclusion of an investigation that hasn't been held yet. What in the world is he thinking about?
He's the highest law enforcement official in the land, and he should be disbarred. Any other investigation that's going on in the Clinton administration, Eric Holder and his colleagues say, I can't comment because there's a criminal investigation going on. Same thing's happening in Ferguson. He's commenting. He's giving his opinion. He's changing what jurors might think. This is outrageous. He should be disbarred. No lawyer should act like this, and he should be kicked out of the cabinet.
A.B., do you agree?
Well, he's leaving, but he did try to have it in both ways. But in his comments, Holder tried to have it both ways. He said wholesale change would be appropriate, but of course I can't describe what that might be because we're waiting for for the conclusion of an investigation. So he really tried to straddle it, and it's not it might not be appropriate, but he was trying to have it both ways.
Yeah, I think he sounds like an outside agitator. He's the highest ranked outside agitator in Ferguson, Missouri.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating that he would say that we've got to have wholesale change and then try to pretend it's on some sort of neutral posture. The idea that Samantha Power in Brussels would say this after visiting West Africa. Matt, if you'll take this up, the White House says that science should guide Ebola policies, but when you listen to her, she says that the greatest enemy is fear, not Ebola itself. These are the kind of, to me, puerile aphorisms that we really don't need a lot more of from this administration.
How about, I think science should guide us. And how about just a little bit of common sense? I think the reason why the American people are so uncertain when it comes to Ebola is because they've had these incredible mixed messages coming out of the Obama administration. I mean, this is just basic common sense. You talk to Reverend Graham. These outside organizations, the military, they're taking the appropriate steps. I don't know why this is so hard for the president and his spin doctor to figure out the right policy here. Quarantine people for a long enough period of time and take precautions. That's what Americans want.
What in the world is with this president? He refuses to lead on any doggone issue. It is the darndest thing.
Well, it's almost like whatever the American people want, this president thinks is wrong, and therefore he's got to do the opposite. So you have this poll. You have a number of states now where the governors are responding to the polls, showing 80% of the public wants a quarantine. Are they all fearful, or is it, Matt says, are they just exercising common sense?
Well, Governor LePage in Maine is exercising common sense. He's made up a 9-point deficit, A.B., just in the past week, by the way he's handling himself. What's the message here?
Well, I think it's very difficult because I think Americans should be scared about the way this was handled at the hospital in Texas, sending a patient home who had recently traveled to Liberia and then ultimately getting 2 of their health care workers sick. But of Ebola, actually a woman who's tested negative for Ebola, who shows no symptoms, can go on a bike ride, and she's not going to infect anybody. So I understand everyone needs to be cautious. What the administration is doing, though, is not responding to the support for the travel ban and the quarantine that Americans feel, and he has to address that.
A.B., thanks a lot. Michael, thank you. Matt Schlapp, we have reached that point where all I can do is say thank you. Good night.